Ah, I just stabbed myself with the corner of the desk. That's not how you do it. Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. It's time for some first impressions of the newest fragrance in a huge line of fragrances. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Invictus Parfum. So this one is available for sale now at Paco Rabanne's website, which basically been rebranded. Everything is just Rabanne now. Apparently Paco is no longer cool. It's Paco. We're just Rabanne, thanks. I guess they looked at Armani, Giorgio Armani and Versace, and they were like, we should just shorten it. Just shorten it. Rabanne, that's us now.
No, that's why I shortened it.
But yeah, the newest Invictus is out. It is available, and it's time to talk about it. Now, if you guys have followed my channel for a while, then you know that Invictus is my #1 most favoritist fragrance line in the, actually no, it's not. The original Invictus, I'm not the biggest fan. I'm not gonna yuck your yum. If you love it, more power to you. But the original Invictus was just not something that I gravitated toward. As time went on and more flankers came out, I actually thought a lot of those were better and better than the original, the OG. And then of course, Victory and Victory Elixir I love. So those, yes, those are fantastic. My favorite from the entire line. But now it's time to talk about this one, where this falls, how this smells. I'll have this one linked in the description. Feel free to check it out down there. And before we jump into the presentation, here are some codes you can use to save money across a multitude of different fragrance websites. Some of the newer codes are for the perfumebox.com, where Gents will save you 10% off the entire website. That one's a great discounter that also has a bunch of different clone fragrances there. Then GS11 for 11% off at fragflex.com, same thing, another discounter. And then the classic codes for Twisted Lily and Max Aroma, among others. Let's go ahead and kick it off by taking a gander at the presentation. So here we have the front of the box. You have there the name of the house, name of the fragrance, size, and concentration. As you can see, once again, they have dropped the Paco, just Rabanne. You have the new logo on top of the box. On the back, you have a QR code, and it says that it is made in France, has a vegan formula, and it's very long lasting. And then on the bottom, you have your badge code and barcode. My badge code, very simple, 33331. And here is the bottle, and this is a new style of trophy bottle in the Invictus line, which I actually think looks really slick. I love the look of this one. It has a blue coloration to it if you hold it up to the light. A little bit reminiscent of Invictus Legend in terms of the color, but slightly darker. Then you have gold, of course, instead of silver or chrome or black. On the bottom, you have your badge code etched into the glass. On top, it says Invictus and has the new logo once again. And on the back, it says Rabanne. Let's go ahead and share a couple sprays. Here we go. There we go. Atomizer on this one, pretty good, as with all the Invictus fragrances. Built-in atomizer works well. You get nice distribution with every spray. Now, I got this one in just a couple days ago, so these are my first impressions. I've not lived with this for months and months or anything like that. The retail price for this one at Rabanne's website in US dollars, $110 for the 50 ml size bottle, $140 for the 100 ml size bottle, and then they have a larger bottle, king size bottle, a family size, a share size, and that one is 200 milliliters, so twice the size of this one. They're usually pretty ugly. Like I have a large size bottle of Invictus Victory, and basically just looks stretched, so it looks weird, like the proportions are off. Let's start talking scent. How does Invictus Parfum stack up against all the other Invicti fragrances? Is that how you would say that? If you have plural, it's Invicti. This is my Invicti collection, or Invictus's collection. So, as I alluded to before, as I spoke about before, the original Invictus, not exactly my cup of tea, but a huge, massive release. Still is a top 40 bestseller as far as men's fragrances go, and that, is counting everything out there. So it's still very popular. And when that was released, it set off a chain reaction of other men's fragrances that came out and had that Invictus kind of scent profile. You couldn't escape it, It was basically everywhere for years.
Oh no.
But as time has gone on, it seems like Rabanne has been kind of stepping away from that style of fragrance in the Invictus line a little bit. Again, Invictus Platinum, not super similar to the original Invictus DNA. Victory Elixir, also not similar. And so you've had this like recalibration almost of the Invictus line where yes, it still comes in an Invictus bottle, an Invictus style bottle, but does it necessarily smell a lot like the original or, you know, the first few flankers? No, not really. This one though changes that. This one is going back to what Invictus used to be. And you can tell that the second that you spray this stuff on, whether on your skin or a tester strip that I can't pick up apparently, when you smell it, you go, oh, it's Invictus again. Okay. So for some people, that's gonna be a win. They're gonna be like, yes, yes, finally, something that's, you know, more reminiscent of the fragrances I love. The original Invictus, Invictus Intense, Invictus Aqua, Invictus Legend, stuff like that. For other people who maybe don't enjoy that quite as much, they're gonna go, oh, and yes, that typically would be me, but I'm not going to sit here and spend the whole video ragging about, you know, oh, Invictus, So I'm not gonna do that. From this point on, we're just talking how this comes across, how it smells. So the two fragrances in the Invictus line that this one immediately reminds me the most of, like when I first smelled this one, when it first hit my skin, is the original Invictus and also Legend. The original Invictus mainly because when I smelled this, I knew right away, okay, they're kind of going back to what it used to be. And obviously the original Invictus started it all off, so that's the first one I thought of. Then as I wore it a little bit more, it starts to get a bit closer to how Invictus Legend comes across. It doesn't smell, you know, the exact same as Invictus Legend, but certainly if you like that fragrance, I think that you'll very, very likely enjoy this one also. So yes, it's got some of that bubblegummy sweetness as soon as you spray this on. That tailor-made Invictus sweetness, that style, you get that off the top. As soon as it hits your skin, as soon as it hits the tester strip, as soon as it hits the air, you smell that sweetness. That being said, it's not quite as overdone, the sweetness here. It is a little bit as you would expect from a parfum flanker, a little deeper, maybe slightly more mature. And yeah, the sweetness doesn't quite wallop you as much, which to me makes it more pleasant. Not that I dislike all sweet fragrances. I love a bunch of sweet fragrances. It's just that style, if it's overbearing, then sometimes it can be a bit much and, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of it. But the way it's done here, I think is pretty nice. Now this has soap as a mid note. Officially it was black soap, and you do pick that up. That being said, it's not like a powdery soapiness, which again, I think is a good thing. It helps the way that this fragrance is constructed. If you had like a big bunch of powdery soapiness that came through in the mid, I don't think it would mesh so well with how this is constructed, how it's made. So while, yeah, you smell it and you get that little clean feel, you get that bit of soapiness. So the way the soap is done here, I think is the best way it could have possibly been handled. You pick it up, it is very clean. It's noticeable pretty early on, like 5 minutes in, and it melds together well with that little fresh spiciness from the opening and the aquatic notes, the sweet aquatic notes from the opening. And then as it dries down, this one, again, a little bit more mature, a little bit more reined in, has a muskiness, cashmerean in there that gives it like a fuzzy vibrancy, a little warmth. The sweetness maintains into the dry down, but once again, not overdone. And actually, for me, this is going to be of the Invictus style fragrances, what I'm gonna call the true Invictus style fragrances. This is the best one. Again, for my own personal taste. Because yes, you're gonna get some of that bubblegummy sweetness, that Invictus-y sweetness, but then it's offset a bit by the soap that's in there. It's still fresh, and while it is a little bit darker than the original Invictus or Invictus Aqua or Invictus Legend, it's still something that has great versatility to it. And while in the opening and part of the mid, it smells redundant, you know, compared to those other Invictus fragrances, more specifically Legend, and then also under that, the original Invictus. Once it hits the dry down, I don't think it's that redundant. I mean, some people are going to disagree, of course, but I think in the opening and the mid, you definitely get much more of a similarity. But once you hit the far dry down, you know, it's kind of doing its own thing, but still clearly an Invictus fragrance. Because that soap, cashmerean musk, and slightly woody dry down, while it does have a little bit of that sweetness, as I said, a lot of it, you know, starts to fade once you hit, you know, 2 hours on your skin. And at that point, it's just really pleasant smelling. Little touch of sweetness, like an almost aromatic feel kind of lurking in the background. Just really, really nice. And the bottle is absolutely beautiful as far as Invictus fragrances go. I know it's still, you know, a Paco, right? So it's kind of, some people would say tacky, but just like the little changes here make it look more modern, higher end, somehow a little bit less tacky, even though it's still, at the end of the day, it's basically the same thing. It looks nicer. So just all the way around, it's like an improvement for me. Not quite as face smashingly sweet, a little bit classier, still hugely appealing, easy to wear. The soap doesn't go too powdery, which like I said, I love. And that dry down is just real pleasant. Not anything insanely unique, I guess, because like I said, you can compare this to some other Invictus fragrances that have been out for years and get some pretty strong similarities, but it stays within what makes Invictus Invictus, but does it in a new way that I find a little more interesting, more appealing, and just better done for my own taste. Now, performance. Let's talk that real quick because that's important. Invictus fragrances are known for their performance. So does this stack up? For me, again, only had it a couple days, but yes, yeah. This is interesting for me in terms of performance. It lasts a long time on my skin, a long time. And in terms of projection, it's, I'm trying to think of how to put this, subtly strong. So you can pick this up pretty easily, even hours, multiple hours in. As I'm going about my day, I can pick up wafts from this. But it's not exactly the same as like when the original Invictus came out and it was just like violently pushing out, right? Just like making sure it smashed everybody's nose that was remotely near you and let them know, hey, I'm wearing Invictus, dog.
Paco Rabanne will scare away any mosquito.
Instead, this one is one of those ones where you catch a whiff, but it's not overbearing, but it's definitely pushing out. So yeah, subtly strong. It's there, it's projecting, and it's projecting well, but it feels a little more, yeah, subtle, just a little bit more like an inviting scent bubble. So that is really intriguing to me because, like I said, I can spray this on and 8 hours later, I'm still picking up whiffs of this stuff, but at no point does it feel like this is overwhelming, this is giving me a headache, this is, you know, causing other people around me to just be like, God, dude, dial it down. Like, none of that. Now, if I went crazy heavy with the trigger, I think that would happen, but I keep the number of sprays moderate here. You know, if you do 10, 15 sprays with it, yeah, I'm sure at that point it would just choke people out, but you keep this normal, a couple sprays here, a couple sprays there, one or two, you know, here, back of your neck or something. Good to go. And in terms of seasonality, it's about a year-round fragrance. Honestly, daytime or nighttime, I think middle of summer, it's really hot. If you're gonna wear this one, don't spray it on too crazy heavy because you'll run into issues because of the performance. But if you keep it level, like with how many sprays you're doing, I think year-round. Daytime or nighttime, either one. I know it's a parfum. I know a lot of times people think parfum flankers, you know, fall, winter, evening, like that's kind of when they would be used, but this one, about whenever you want. So for me, Invictus Parfum, this is the best Invictus that smells like Invictus. Because for me, Victory Elixir, Victory, Platinum, those aren't really Invictus style. Like if I say Invictus style, you would think the original, or you would think Aqua, or you would think Legend, or even Intense. So those fragrances, that's what I'm grouping this one in with. This is the best of those for me. The performance is there, the compliment factor is there, the versatility is there, and it just smells like a better take on that style. So yeah, Invictus Parfum. I like this stuff. I recoiled in horror the first time that I smelled this. Legitimately went, oh God, this stuff again. It's actually not too bad.
That's from Invictus.
That's essentially how it went. Recoil and horror, realize, oh, that's pretty nice though. So Invictus Parfum, dig the stuff. Check this out whenever you head into your local whatever, Macy's, Ulta, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think it's gonna win over a lot of people that hate Invictus style fragrances or anything because it still is in that wheelhouse, but it's the best of the bunch for me. Thank you guys so much. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video.